Manifesto. So if you guys want me to read their manifesto, I got you on that as well.
Meanwhile, 3 people killed in a shooting at San Diego's largest mosque yesterday. 2 teenage suspects were found dead in a nearby car with self-inflicted wounds. Police giving this update on that.
Actively investigating this as a hate crime. There are details and information that we are investigating as to exactly what those what the hate speech or the hate words were that were conveyed. There was definitely hate rhetoric that was involved.
We're still trying to learn more about this. So is Matt Finn, our reporter on the scene there in San Diego. And Matt, good morning there in California.
Good morning, Bill. Right now, investigators are working to determine exactly why these 2 young men, 17 and 18 years old, shot and killed 3 people at this Islamic center that on any given day has lots of women and children on the property. And just in, Fox has obtained a photo of 17-year-old Kane Clark, one of the teens believed to be responsible for the senseless act of terror that took place.
Here's the thing, though. Everybody's trying to say that, oh, no, they're trans. They're trans. And it's like, no, guys, they're not trans. I think they just like the long hair look. I mean, God, just because you see a white guy with long hair don't mean they're trans.
Here yesterday, the San Diego police chief calls this shooting a free society's, quote, worst nightmare, and says it began yesterday morning when police got a call at 9:42 a.m. from a distressed mother who reported her son left a note behind and ran away. 3 guns were gone, and her son possibly wanted to take his own life.
Several of her weapons were missing. Her vehicle was missing. In addition to her son, she also said that her son was with a companion and that they were dressed in camo.
That police chief says as officers were taking in information from the concerned mother and realizing the threat was growing, they got reports of an incident at the Islamic Community Center and dispatched themselves, where 3 adults were found dead, including a security guard who's being hailed as a hero for saving lives. Police scanner audio reveals the terrifying moments as the shooting unfolded.
2 white males, black mask. 2 white males, mask. They were wearing no camo. 1 with an automatic weapon, 1 with a shotgun. I'm going to grab these 2 victims.
Now let's take a look at this clip right here. There was a clip that was released on X from this guy. Shout out to him. That shows you, I guess these guys were pretty much about to live stream it. They were about to live stream this. And I don't know what's crazy about people wanting to live stream atrocities.
So in a major development regarding the recent shooting that targeted the San Diego mosque in California, we have now learned that the shooters actually live streamed and recorded them carrying out this atrocity. Now, this video will contain, no graphic video footage. There is a lot more to show aside from this video, but it, again, is far too graphic. So I would never do that. Just some updates. Both of the shooters have been identified as 17-year-old Kane Clark and 18-year-old Caleb Velasquez. And according to reports, they actually met online. So it appears to be that they were not necessarily friends before this attack, or maybe they were, but they became friends through what appears to be a process of radicalization. Also, according to some of the reporting, it is being said that, according to what has been uncovered, including a manifesto, that they had a lot of hatred that was aimed and targeted at a lot of groups.
A whole lot of groups. I mean, everywhere from Jews, blacks, I mean, overall society, and just immigrants in general. Because like I said, there are these white Christian nationalists, but they are on, I mean, damn, the way, if you actually read that manifesto, dog, they're way more extreme than them. Like, you think that Nick Fuentes is extreme? Well, wait till you read their manifesto.
The video footage, we can see that there are inscriptions on the weapons, all up and down the barrel, as well as on other parts of the gun. These are almost certainly inscriptions that target certain people. We assume there's a lot of anti-Islamic writing on there. Again, the manifesto was uncovered, and according to the FBI, the investigators are saying that the manifesto included an idea, hinted at the fact that these 2 young men had an ideology that carried a lot of hatred towards a lot of groups of people, not only Muslims. Now, does that take away from the fact that these 2 young men went and killed Muslims?
No, that is true. You know, it's actually crazy. In their entire manifesto, they rarely mention Muslims, even though they carried out the attack on Muslims. That was actually the surprising part about it. But all right, let's get back to it.
10-4, grabbing victim to do life-saving measures.
Police say around the same time they were making entry, they got a call of a car a few blocks away that had shot at a landscaper who was going to be okay. And a couple blocks from that scene, they found the two suspects dead in a BMW from self-inflicted gunshot wounds. The police chief says there was hateful rhetoric involved, and this is being investigated as a hate crime. Bill, Dana.
And one of those dead, a father of eight children.
Damn.
Matt Finn, thank you. In San Diego, more to come, hopefully, throughout the day today. Learn more. Thanks.
And James Galliano, retired FBI supervisor, agent, and Fox News contributor, is here as well. Just one more piece of sound from the police chief, Scott Wall, on the mother that the juvenile is trying to alert authorities.
After speaking with the mom began to piece together bits and pieces of information over an extended period of time. The information that she was gathering and conveying to us began to elevate the threat level that we were perceiving with this information. She believed her son was suicidal.
What do you think of this case?
The mother did everything right. And obviously it was a grim scene yesterday, and we're still kind of piecing things together. Look, as far as a hate crime, I mean, the two decedents will not face charges. They're obviously dead in this instance, but trying to understand motivation.
Yeah, I think they took their own life.
And again, Bill and Dana, here's something else. 17 and 18 years old. This has become an epidemic of Gen Z shooters, whether it's the assassination culture we saw in Butler, Pennsylvania, or in Utah with Tyler Robinson, and now these two young.
Are we just going to start being afraid of Gen Zers? No, but we do understand that they're the ones who are radicalized by the messages coming from both the left and the right.
And most important thing, now that the initial interdiction is done, did anyone direct them to do these things, provide material support? Was anybody else involved in the conspiracy?
Yeah, like why were they the target? Why'd they pick that mosque? We don't know. There was something that was written that was found in this car, whether it was a suicide note or some sort of manifesto. Do we know about that at all, James?
We don't yet. That hasn't been released yet. I'm sure we're going to hear about this in the next day or so, Bill. But again, it goes back to these type of motivations. You take a grievance.
Too late. It's already been released. You know what? I'm just going to read it for the clips. All right. So let me go ahead and see if I can pull up his manifesto real quick. Give me about 2 minutes.
You apply an ideology to it and then your own sense of moral absolutism. And in this instance, Christians, Jews, and Muslims are being targeted across the globe, mostly in Asia and in African parts.
All right, guys, prepare yourself as I prepare myself with this energy drink, because we're about to go through it. And I know you're about to recognize some messages here, some key tones. So the New Crusades, right? Sons of Tyrant. So yeah, this is the manifesto. This is a pretty, well done manifesto. You can see they worked on it. Accelerate your hate, which is wild. You got the little Nazi eyes and all this crazy stuff. Skull, accelerate your hate. Yeah. But let's get into it. I want to start off with some words from a few of my heroes. Why won't somebody do something? Why won't somebody do something? Why don't I do something? The spell broke. Why don't I do something? Why not me? If not me, then who? Why them when I could do it myself? It was there I decided to do something. It was there I decided to take action, to commit to force, to commit to violence, to take the fight to the invaders myself. To take a saying from this film, I see all this stuff going on, and I don't see anyone doing anything about it, and it pisses me off. To take a saying from my favorite film, even if my life is worthless than a speck of dirt, I want to use it for the good of society. I have no choice. I'm not in the position to alone. Going into the ghetto and fight. Yeah, damn, hold on. I'm not in the position to alone going into the ghetto and fight. Okay. We have no skinheads, no real KKK, no one doing anything but talking on the internet. Well, someone has to have the bravery to take it to the real world. And I guess it has to be me. To summarize, he's pretty much saying, I'm tired of all you so-called racists talking online, talking about how you want to get rid of blacks, how you want to deport all the Muslims, but you guys just be talking. You ain't really picking up a gun and go doing it. And that's what he's pretty much saying. But let's get on to the next paragraph. Finally, I thought to myself, perhaps there's a chance that we can combat this. Maybe there's a chance that we can take control and prevent our genocide. Maybe we can combat the Hind the heinous the hedonistic, nihilist, and individualistic insanity that has taken control Western thought, that has taken control of Western thought. I think you might want to put. I then found other fighters like Patrick Curtis and Andrus Beavervik, Dylan Roof, and John Ernest. Okay, these men fought for me and had the same goals I did. It was there I asked myself, why don't I do something? Okay, finally I felt awakened. It was there I started to think about committing to an attack, to commit violence. I would follow Taran's lead in the attacks of so many others like him. All right, so I want to follow Taran's lead in the attacks of so many others like him. No longer would I just accept our replacement. No longer would I just accept our genocide. No longer will I willingly serve the people who are trying to end me and my race. I would have to take the fight to the replacers myself. Okay, so taking to the fight to the replacers, and what do they say? Islam is taking over. They want to replace us. The immigrants want to replace us. It's the Indians, the Mexicans, it's the Muslims. Well, I mean, this is the type of hate you breed, the type of mindset you're breeding, guys, just to summarize it. All right, next paragraph. And guys, this is going to be a long one, so, get ready. Now, these feelings they felt are the same I feel now, and their words truly spoke to me. It feels that every day now I see things getting worse in the world, and it makes me sick to my stomach and enrages me beyond belief. I always find myself saying something needs to be done, or someone needs to do something, but nothing ever happens, and nothing ever will if we don't make something happen. I can no longer in good conscience just sit idly by and expect someone else to be the one to fight back. How can I possibly expect others to do what I myself am unwilling to do? Then it hit me. I've got to do it. Okay. Why shouldn't it be me? Why don't I just do something? If not me, then who will? So now I believe it is my turn. My turn, with many before me and many more to come to fight back. And that's just, basically page 1. That's page 1, guys. I know that was a lot just for page 1, but let's get into page 2. All right. Let's get into the universal enemy. Everyone has their own idea of who is to blame for all the wrong in the world. They will say it's the government, the elites, the rich, the politicians, the 1%, the left, the right, the capitalists and the communists, the Illuminati, the fags and the trannies, the immigrants, and many more. All of them can be traced back to be or be caused by one group, the Jews. Okay. It's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews. Hey, YouTube, I'm reading the manifesto. This ain't me, okay? Just want to make sure we, point that out real quick. All right. But the Jews across all of time have been an extremely disproportionate amount of the world's problems, whether that be from war, famine, exploitation of children, raised in degeneracy, infighting of people, political killings, the separation of family, the departure from the church, the white race replacement, mass immigration, central banking system, and so on. It has always been and always will be the Jews. I mean, what? All right. There is no moderate opinion to this problem. They'll always rise back to power or do the same again wherever you exile them to. For any sane man seeing all this, the only logical solution would be just to kill them all. I mean, whoa, how about separate the radicals from the cool ones? How about that, buddy? Whoa. Yeah, okay then. Oh, he goes in further. Historical atrocities. And let's see, spreading information and therefore anti-Semitism now compared to then is very easy. The further you go back in time, the more difficult or even impossible it was to spread information. The only way you would find something out were from word of mouth, messenger, going to city, and then eventually mail and newspaper articles. So if some news group of people came to where you were living, it was very unlikely you'd know who they were and what they were doing wherever they came from whatever made them have to leave or escape. So, with all of that, how was it that somehow, some way over the past several thousand years, different people of different cultures and languages spread across countries and even entire continents somehow developed anti-Semitism? Many countries has to deal with the Jews, and they have had enough of them, forcibly expelling them, or as they'll tell you, prosecuting them. I mean, persecuting them, forcing them to leave just to start again in some other poor, unaware country that will be their next victim, likely accepting them after hearing stories of these poor, innocent Jews escaping persecution for no reason at all. After so many instances of this, that concludes page 2 of this crazy manifesto. All right, let's get on to the next one. You'd think maybe it isn't all of these other civilizations' fault, but rather them who continuously get themselves kicked out and hated. What did they do to get themselves this faith? An entire list of chaos, an entire list of chaos they cause, some of which including coin clipping, infiltration of systems of government and power, gaining a monopoly control on banking and running the people into bankruptcy, switching sides on the people that house them and allowing their enemies in, causing plagues and famines, allowing their satanic barbaric rituals often on the native people, and much more. In the past several thousand years, the Jews have seen themselves expelled from quite a lot of places, numerous amounts of time. In fact, this has happened 1,030 times in 109 different countries, and this number only seems to be increasing. If I were to list all of these cases here, it would spam the document dozen of pages. So I'll link it here for files showing these events. And yeah, he did link it. Yeah, he did link it. Wild enough. Now, for the very famous and supposedly very tragic historical events known as the Holocaust, where, as this fact will consistently be pushed down everyone's throat, a poor innocent 6 million Jews were brutally systematically killed. This fact would have all practically been forced to believe. Yeah, we've all practically been forced to believe is nothing short of a complete fabrication. Whoa, okay. Well, I mean, I'm in it now. All right, we're gonna go for it, guys. This fact, which we have all practically been forced to believe, is nothing short of a complete fabrication and possibly one of the biggest or one of the largest scandals in history. This number of the 6 million is nothing new, and there are newspapers dating back to the early 1900s speaking of this almost as if they had been prepared this almost as they've been preparing this lie for years. And the German camps had conveniently been just the thing they were waiting for. The camps were not death camps where they were treated inhumanely and they waited to be killed off. No, in fact, quite the opposite. They were labor camps where surprisingly they were treated extremely well with accommodations and amenities, and that no prisoner would ever dream of, especially not awaiting extermination. Where okay, I mean, what was it? Where there was a camp with a whole bunch of Jewish people swimming in a pool. I mean, doesn't mean they didn't kill them after, but let's stay out of that. Let's stay out of that. All right. Judaism and its practices. Epstein Island is the most disturbing, vile, evil thing our modern day of our modern day, and yet it is nothing new. It is just Judaism in its purest form, scaled up to an attraction of sorts to blackmail those who will not bend the knee to their willingly. You'll read those words in the file speaking of those most horrid events imaginable and think, how could they possibly do such disgusting, violent things? For them, it was. All right, let's see what it was. How could he do ever such violent things? For them, it was simply following tradition practices they've done for centuries, and the religious books that not only allowed these acts, but in fact encouraged them. Banking, unfinished. I mean, yeah, you could go in a while on banking, but let's get into media influence. As as is with everything else, Jews unsurprisingly have an overly massive amount of representation when it comes to control and influence of media. This shows with mainstream news, Hollywood, social media, influencer and celebrities, TV, advertising, books, both fiction, showing historical and current events, and nonfiction as entertainment. This, of course, is their main way of controlling the masses of the regular people, your everyday Joe, if you will, because as we all know, people today consume a lot of media. So this game they play is within subliminal messages, repetition of their agenda, and controlling the narrative. See here, this will constantly smear our name and try to group us in or compare us to other groups as to make it easier for them to control their masses. With the right, they'll call us communists, as to them, any authoritarian regime is opposed to capitalist democracy is communism. Well, with the left, though, less insulting, they will call us fascists. This we are not. Are you sure about that, guy? But all right, let's keep it going. While we certainly are closer to the fascists as nationalist socialists, and during World War II, we were even allied with many of them. We are separate groups ideologically. These groups' terms are meant to make it simple for the pawns of the media on all sides to know who their enemy is without causing too much ache to the brains of the non-thinking, already enslaved good goys. For most part, there is no explaining to these types the differences of how we aren't what they think we are. They're too far gone. However, there will always be people who question what they were told to believe, and for what we must certainly be ready. Unfinished, company central ownership. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. All right, to get into political control. Jesus, man, I know, right? I'm going in on this one. But let's see here, political control. In chess, the pieces on either side both hate each other. Meanwhile, the people playing moving side pieces are usually good friends. This metaphor is indicative of the modern state of politics being nothing more but left-wing Jews versus right-wing Jews who laugh together at the going behind the closed curtains. Within every corner of the political spectrum, Jews can be found. It could be in forms of complete control, which is the most obviously and apparently seen in the moderates like the Democrats and the Republicans. But in many cases, has also been seen in the extremes, though their influence there because a bit more diverse. Yeah, though their influence there may be a bit more diverse, showing in ways like infiltration of pure existing groups or movements made for the sole purpose of being used as control opposition, or as far as blatantly being made by or steamrolled into existence by them, usually made in their image. Another group that has a lot of control over world events in comparison to their lower numbers, similar to the Jews, are the Freemasons. Okay. I will not lie that I don't know all that much about them and would have loved to learn and find out more, because there is certainly something going on there that requires some attention. I've noticed that they, it's actually, I got some Freemasons. I'm pretty sure Noah would love to probably fill us in on this, but let's hear what he got to say. I've noticed that they use a lot of the same symbology and are but another type of Saturn worshippers. They admittedly seem to be almost intertwined, likely worshiping the same gods and operating similarly. The only real difference between the two groups is one, more importantly, the Jews seem to have more personal hatred towards the Goyim, and specifically whites, which I don't think the Freemasons harbor, and also that the Jews are born into their roles both in the ethnic and religious way, which link them to their group power and tribal mentality. While the Freemasons are a group that appears less ethno-religiously exclusive, though I imagine it's no small feat to get into, and the loyalty to the other members in the group is more cult-like, but again, operates almost identically. I'm sure Scientology could also be categorized this way, but they seem to be just an odd religion cult rather than a serious threat like other groups who hold a lot of power and influence. I personally see no point in investigating them, but who knows? All right. And there are several ways Jews spread degeneracy, but the Pacific ones I'd like to touch on, due to them being the most prevalent, are race mixing in the porn industry. Okay, well, damn, I kind of agree with you with one out of the two there. Race mixing in the porn industry. Those goddamn race mixers. But all right. So what was it? He said race mixing and porn industry and LGBTQ/transgenderism. In many such cases, these three are directly intertwined, both in how they spread and who they are who are they practiced and supported by. All right, yeah. And most importantly, how they are a direct attack against the white population with the goal of decreasing it by any means possible. These methods are used to properly, not properly, but these methods are used to propel the white race towards reproductive dead ends. Within the white birth rates are already in decline in nearly every single white country. It happens. Foils and the incel experience. Okay. Hate-filled rant. After the Jews, the most evil creatures in the world, in this world, is the women. Yo. Okay. Yeah, this gets a little bit misogynistic. Let's get into it. All right, but after the Jews, the most evil creatures in this world is the women. This is because after Jews, women tend to cause all the problems in the world. They do. This is in the way similar to centrist and just blatant sheep. Damn. All right. Similar to centrist and just blatant sheep-minded people in the way they are complacent and easy to sway while they still have far more control than they should from the foolishness of the men who bent the knee and worship them. To women, men are nothing but accessories similar to that of a purse or a piece of clothing. They all crave a man that is way out of their league, usually in every single way, because of their feelings that they deserve it. They want a 6 foot tall man because they want to feel like a small, cute little girl. But if they still don't feel that way when wearing high heels, then in their eyes, the man isn't enough. They're always looking for the next better thing, as if their partner, who is a literal human, is just the newest iPhone or trendy item. Yeesh. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. At the end there, geesh, I ain't gonna. He's got a cooking on that one. All right, but the whole women are all of our problems. Nah, I ain't gonna go there. No. But let's get on to the next paragraph. But all right, height difference, I deserve. Wow, damn. Height difference, I deserve. Height difference, I deserve. Height difference, I deserve. You deserve nothing. Being short, especially now more than ever, is nothing short but a tumultuous humiliation ritual. As someone who's been short my whole life, trust me, I know from experience, they've never let me forget it. If you're a man and you are below that magic 6 foot height, you will be treated as a lesser. If they even acknowledge you at all, that is, you'll be made a laughing stock who is treated like as if you were a child or a pet with the way they talk down to you. If you're confident and tall, you're just confident. If you're the exact same but short, then you have that short guy ego. One of the many terms they've bestowed upon us to further ridicule us just for our height. If you're short like me, they'll never see you as a human, plain and simple. They pretend to support. Damn, I mean, man, Jesus, I feel kind of bad for bro. Like, Jesus. They'll never feel empathetic. Damn, they'll never feel empathetic gender, but they're not like everything else with women. It's all two-faced lies. Let's see here. Forwards don't deserve a man that's 6 feet tall. No, they deserve to be 6 feet under. So go ahead and help them with that. Voids. I mean, I'm sorry, but what is that? What's a void? No, maybe. Hold on, guys. Guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video. I guess we're going in on this one, but voids. Let's see here. Definition. Distinguishing substance. No, that's foods. Voids, dumbass. Like, cause I ain't never heard that in my life. Maybe I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. No, it is what it is. All right, we'll just go ahead and move past it. But apparently, these foids is a derogatory internet slang term primarily used for incels. Foids. All right, so it's a derogatory internet term primarily used for incels and voluntary celibate, extreme manosphere communities to refer to women. Huh. It is a shortened version of femoid, which combines female with humanoid android. Oh, wow. So foids. So they're pretty much calling them female androids who just act like what? Like who just all act the same. They are the same. So they call them foids, or basically female androids. So that's what he's pretty much saying. Foids don't deserve a man. Pretty much saying these female androids don't deserve a man that's 6 feet. No, they deserve to be 6 feet under, and go ahead and help them with that. Well, damn. Well, let's hear him explain himself. Where did my hatred for women come from? Well, mainly just simply interacting with them was enough. They are all the most insufferable, backwards, evil bunch anyone could be forced to have to spend any time with. Well, damn, I don't know. I like women. And they've always flat out denied it and label you with their own evil. Foids, or female androids, always say that while us guys were fiddling our thumbs as kids, they were discussing philosophy at 12 years old, and we were all behind. Well, it would appear as if their intelligence also capped off at that age, too. A woman, if ever at all, will rarely think with logic, rather make decisions based on almost entirely off feelings and emotions. This is the root cause of many problems because we have one of the two only genders making often important choices, like with voting off of some snob story the elites dangle in front of them of their faces. Damn. Okay, I mean, you got them there. Like keys in front of a baby. So yeah, so let's see here. Like voting off of some sob story, the elites dangle in front of their faces like keys in front of a baby. It tends to cause some division. Then, of course, will come the pussy whipped fools who will abandon their ideals if they had any to begin with. That is, to follow the foids in their stupidity. Let's see. This accounts for modern feminism, Western liberalism, LGBT being propelled into the mainstream, and normalization of abortions, and of course, the bringing in of millions of poorer, innocent little brown immigrants, which will then rape them and then still blame all men and never acknowledge the race issue. Okay. It really is all a culture war, and the side that has the women tends to win more battles. The side with the young men / the youth in general too is very important, but I digress. To put it simply, you'll start to build some resentment when you constantly try to appeal reason to a brick wall. All right. For a girl in my exact shoes, they would be treated like that of a god, being praised and worshipped, while I, a guy in those exact circumstances, am ridiculed and talked down to. When a girl is short, it's endearing, while I, as a guy, short, am treated like a subhuman. When a girl is shy or introvert, is cute, but as a guy, for being the exact same, I am seen as weird and awkward. When a girl is artistic, is seen as quirky, but I, being an artistic as a guy, am treated like a retard. The Floyds always speak of inequality between men and women. You know what? They are right. Other than the top 10% of men, because that's the only ones Foids will ever acknowledge or see as human, guys get treated like absolute shit in comparison to women. This much is clearly unfair, and the acts that Foids have been able to get away with from simply existing as women is unforgivable, and so truly a righteous retribution, righteous retribution is needed. The incel saints knew this well. Incel saints is who's the incel saints? Okay. Incel Saint Elliot, Saint Lepin, Saint Ackland, Saint Mercy, Saint Uganhaz, Saint Damn. So all these damn saints and all the others, they call you a virgin because that's the only unit of value a Foid could ever comprehend. They'll call you ugly if you're not a Chad because of their hypergamous ways. Yeah, hypergamous ways. And they'll call you an incel regardless if you are or not. Just because you call them out, you disagree with them on anything, or simply because they plan out don't like you. So give them what they want and show them that incel hatred they won't ever shut up about. The revolution awaits. Okay. Well, now that he's done with women, let's get on to gender cursing. Like, I know, right? And make sure to like the video, guys. Who else is reading the entire manifesto right now? Who else is reading this? I'm not reading the entire thing, but at least like the first 7 pages. But let's get into genetic cursing. Now, hypergamy is the biological and evolutionary trait that all women have that, whether intentional or not, makes them all evil, self-centered, entitled, egotistical whores. But what actual is hypergamy, and how does it work? All right, so hypergamy is the evolutionary trait that causes people, often women, to date up with the goal of the best possible outcome for offspring. This by itself is nothing bad. I mean, of course, anyone would want their child to have the best genes possible. But with the modern women, this has gotten completely out of hand. Not to mention the fact that most Foids today don't even have any interest in having children. They now, because of that built-in generic trait, and of course the internet and other media, they all think they deserve the best of the best top 1% of men, while men themselves for the most part still tend to go after their looks max their looks not max but looks match, which is very clearly seen from data taken from dating sites. Foids are now constantly exposed to the best of the best males that the world has to offer on their little phone screen, to the point where now when they think of all men, they only think of Chads. Since their only concept of male is the best, then everyone else, well, gets ignored. Those who don't make the cut from not being quite attractive enough are cursed to an existence of perpetual torture just because a couple centimeters, damn, in their face weren't just a couple centimeters in their face weren't a certain way. Yeah, they got the wrong chromosomes, or they got unlucky with their genetics, which were passed on to them by their parents. Genetic determination, determinationism is the most cruel, unfair, brutal reality to accept, and women don't make it any easier. As Saint Hamandu said, I was born and my life was over. And this is unfortunately the truth for many. Let's see here. Yep, for many. Yeah, this is true for many. Okay. The difference between good and bad criminals depend on how well they were dressed. It depends on what weapon they use. It depends on their position, their voice, their plan of attack. It depends on how they carry themselves. It depends on how they carry it out. It depends on their height, their bone structure, their body fat percentage, their hair. It depends on their victim. It also depends on who their victim was. Even man, even the very worst criminal acts are forgiven by simply looking good or cool or interesting in some way. I, like many others, was destined for this fate. Ever wonder why people will say, Who do they always look like? Wait, why do they always look like that? Or all shooters look the same. This is because with everything else, this existence is genetically determined. This phenomenon is fittingly named with the phenotype. Many of us tend to look alike and then eventually reach the same fate because of treatment from one's looks. Damn, all right. I mean, these. All right, but all right, tend to look alike and then eventually reach the same fate because of treatment from one's looks or their genetic strains themselves will lead someone onto this path. Then, even worse, after the fact, people ridicule them further for just taking revenge on those who put that on who put that life onto them. No matter what, we will always be no matter what, we will always be blamed and hated and seen as the villains while everyone else is the victim. Can't blame them when they turn around and get you back. Life is not fair. Well, let's move on to the bioweapon of the whoa. Yeah, I ain't gonna repeat that one. All right, let's get into this though. Middle Easterns and Islam. Let me preface this by saying I don't hate Muslims. I at least not really. What I do hate is the religion of Islam itself, and what I hate more than that is seeing them here invading my country. I recognize that with the Middle East immigrants invading our white countries, it is typically their worst they have to offer from the worst of the worst. All right, well, at least he understands that. All right, so Middle East countries, yeah, worst of the worst of the Middle Eastern countries. Though this is no excuse, I also recognize that while no race is equal to ours, among the closest that comes to it is the Middle Easterns. They know how to wage war, they know how to build civilization, they know how to govern, and for this they get my respect at least enough to not want to bomb at least enough not to want to bomb the ever living shit out of their countries, a foreign nation state. What has gained from the what has okay, let's get into this part. What has been gained from the Jesus. Sorry, guys. Sorry. What has been gained from the destabilization of the Middle East? Nothing. At least not for us. It has only gained us endless wars, more and more enemies, attacks on our soil, several thousand of our own dead for nothing, and refugees, a lot of them. The religion of Islam is in every way incompatible and hostile to Western countries. It is completely contradictory to both Western morals and values and Christianity, which has dictated many of our societies, whether you agree with it or not. All right. See here. Now, once the Muslim invaders reach our shores and arrive on our land, they do exactly what you would expect any invader. They'll assert dominance and lay claim to land by loudly and obnoxiously praying in our streets, demanding Sharia law, only voting for their own in positions of power, being violent as any shit skin, or attacking others, often in the name of Islam. And of course, raping our women, being very young at a lot of times, since their book has no problem with that, and killing us with lots and lots of terrorism for Allah. Since 1979 to 2024, there has been around over 66,000 Islamists attacked worldwide, which have caused deaths of at least over 249,000 people. Unfinished. But let's go to the blacks and the nigger culture. Yeah, Jesus Christ. And what's going on, Anonymous? And who else is in the chat? Yep, but guys, make sure you double tap that screen and like the video. But race is not just a social construct or only skin deep. There are many factors, both mental and physical, that differentiates the races. And none demonstrates that better than the Negro. On average, black has significantly lower IQ than whites. At one point, the IQ level to be considered mentally retarded was set at 85 and below, but then had to be lowered to 75 due to the fact that this would render over 50% of the black population as retarded. The vast majority of the black population ranges in the 80 to 85 levels of IQ. But this is within what I like to call the domesticated blacks. This lower furthers when talking of the natives of sub-Saharan Africa with an even lower but larger range of 65 to 80 on average. For reference, that's lower than an estimate of some animals. So in short, they're dumb. In fact, the world's 30 least intelligent countries are all located in Africa, minus Haiti, which is still essentially also a black country. Another mental factor comes with the brain. Since all humans do indeed have different physical features, such as with skeletal builds, I'm weak. Here specifically in the skull shape and structure, yet another example of how different races are. Blacks have far more protruding jawbones and slopped forward heads compared to their white counterparts, which then leaves less space inside their skulls for a brain. Even though this stuff has been disproven, it shows pretty well how people still fall for that. But I'm sorry, this is funny. All right, which part is left, which is less space, you ask? The frontal cortex. This is extremely important because that part of the brain is responsible for high level execution, executive functions, including planning, decision making, reasoning, and impulse control. This regulates emotions, personality, voluntary movement, and speech production, and explains a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, also explains, yeah, if you're not really growing up in the best educational background, that tends to happen regardless of the race that you're in. But it is what it is. And Jesus, South American invaders, mass immigration, and its consequences. About the South Americans, and by all means, the word is an invasion. By all means of the word, it is an invasion. Let's see here. They come in masses continuously with no stop in sight. I do not mean just the illegal ones, but the legal ones too. As of now, they are the immigrants who have to deal with the most currently in the US. And I'll admit that they are nowhere near as bad as the Africans and the Middle Eastern Muslims that Europe has to deal with, and Indians in that countries like Canada and Australia have to deal with. This could be due to their slightly more similar culture, whether that be because they share our Muheccan Judeo-Christian values, like the conservatives would say, or the fact that most of them have some European ancestry themselves. This does not excuse the fact that they are invading nonetheless. Damn, everybody's an invader. All right, so pretty much it's just it, pretty much going off on a race tyrant. But let's get into, I guess, some questions he asked himself. Damn. But as you see, because I've been going on this for a while now, I mean, y'all still want me to keep going? One's in the chat if you want me to keep going. And guys, make sure to like the video, because I think I've been reading this for probably like 10, 15 minutes. Like, man. But let's go ahead and get to, I guess, the most interesting part here. Some parts that were highlight. All right, here to right. As someone who considers themselves a right winger with various views over the years of libertarian conservatism and basic moderate right nationalistic views, I can say from experience that the right wing in America is complete and utter failure. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Damn. All right, what else is highlighted? It would be impossible to talk about the right today without talking about Trump and the Make America Great Again movement. A lot of people seem to still cling to him, thinking him as some sort of white savior, as if it were still 2016. Was he ever really our guy? Probably not. The evidence surely says against this idea. The evidence surely, yeah. Give him that one. Nearly every billionaire, he was always a bought out Shabazz goy until, of course, he converted to Judaism. Damn, he did in 2017, a fact that many Magtar Judo Christian either refuse to believe or worship him even more so if for it. Also, interestingly enough, that event got very little media coverage, but I'm sure that's just a coincidence, and totally not intentional to maintain his Christian voters. Okay. Oh, I might have to look that one up. Mainstream politics, the left. Let's see here. All right, let's see what he can say about Trump here. Here it is. And this can't be done with government approval or protests and marches and petty rioting over some nigger who wants to get himself shot by the police. Do something worthwhile. You hate Trump so much, then kill him. And this time, don't miss. Or better yet, he's already on his way out. Take out Vance instead. Dang, his best buddy was CEO of Palantir. So if he makes it onto office, you can be guaranteed you'll live in a real life 1984. All righty here, but let's see here. No, let me go ahead. Remember, no matter who your side, no matter. Whoops, here we go. Remember, no matter who you are, nobody likes a big brother surveillance state. So go out and do it, lefty. Prove your side can start a revolution. And for the magtard boomers eating this message up from whatever AI slop using YouTube channel and Fox News segment is informing you of it to spin me into some type of radical leftist, yes, I am inciting violence from the left because I am an accelerationist. I know that it takes all sides opening fire to cause that much desired social collapse, so societal collapse. So go ahead and follow through for once. Oh damn. I mean, look, the right is already trying to call this guy a tranny. You know that? They're trying to call him a tranny, and he already wrote something on, well, Yaggets and trannies. But you're going to see the propaganda. They're going to call him a tranny. But, there's not too much people like me out here that's going to read it all for you. Or at least 80% of it, because that was a lot to read through. All right, so were or are you left wing? He answers some of these questions, depending on the definition. What are your views on religion? The only good religion is Christianity. The worst and most deplorable religion are Judaism and Satanism, which are the same thing. Do you always hold these? Did you always hold these views? No. Yeah, I know. You get turned into this. What are your views? I am a Christian eco-fascist accelerationist. I believe that the only way to the liberation of white race is through violence, sabotage, and revolution. I believe we need the white mass to realize we are not at fault for the failures of the other races. I believe we need to accelerate the collapse of modern society so that we can rebuild into something better. Well, got it. Damn. Well, that was a lot. I'm not even gonna lie. That's a lot to take in what the young man was saying. And now, even in some parts of his whole manifesto, even I was just like, yeah, I hear you, dog, but violence is never the answer. But he didn't agree with me on that one. He was like, no, bro, violence may be the only answer. I'm like, you can never get me there, but I ain't gonna lie. If you read this young man's manifesto, which is scary enough, I mean, I'm just gonna keep it real. You can find yourself agreeing with him on some things, and you can see how he got radicalized. Personally, me, I can never get radicalized to that extent where I literally hate a group of people, but I can understand how this could radicalize some people to feeling like the whole system is against them and they need to fight back. Like, I completely understand where he's coming from on that. But all right, though, let's get to regular news coverage on that. Cause yeah, that was a lot. But let's get into it with CNN.